So, hey y'all, welcome to today's Coffee Break Live. Thank you for joining me and joining me consistently. I'm loving it. So, as you can see, we are shifting locations. I am at my parents' house for the day. You know, sometimes we need to take a step back, take a break, and have a change of scenery as much as possible during this time. So, what I kind of wanted to talk about, and I know when I posted on social media, I wrote that we'd be talking about coping skills, which is true, but we're taking a step back even further to when I did the first mindful moment or mindful mama break, and how the coffee break actually derived. And we are going to do a little mindfulness touch. So I want us to actually think about a time where you had a meltdown or you had a breakdown or whatever you want to call it, where you just were so overwhelmed that it turned into a thing. And take a moment to write that in the chat. So welcome, Ty. We are just getting started. We are now thinking about a time where we recently had a meltdown or a breakdown. Yes, to frothy, icy coffee. I love it. Where we had a meltdown or a breakdown, and write what happened in the chat and what you did after. And as you all are doing that, I'm just going to tell you that, when was mine? Actually, when I texted Tanisha this morning, I texted her this morning and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Feeling kind of out of place, out of my routine, and just need to get it together. It wasn't a full out breakdown, but that's when I made the decision that I needed to change places a little bit and step out of the routine that's been happening. So Taylor shared, and I already see the first few words and know that I feel her pain, but Taylor shared when my package went missing, which isn't a big deal, but it symbolized some neglected feelings. Can you explain a little bit about those neglected feelings?
So, I can explain. I feel like some of us may experience this as well. Like sometimes something really small will happen and you have a big blow up and you're like, well, why did this one thing really make me blow up? And it's because like sometimes we harbor up feelings and push them aside and it's like that comes out. And when I lose things, even if it's something really small, like it's obviously not my fault my package went missing and I'm pretty sure Amazon will happily give me back my money. But when I lose things, it connects to my fear of failure. So when I feel like I lost something or I misplaced something, it's like, oh my God, this fear of failure. Like now, okay, now maybe I should have stayed home at my parents' house. Maybe like I can't do this adulting thing. It's like you start thinking all the things that you feared in that one little thing.
I love that you said that, and it actually resonates because a piece of my juicer was lost earlier this week and it was the end of the world. It was the end of the world for multiple reasons. I'm fighting to have a wellness routine. I'm outside of my apartment. I am in other people's space, although welcome, still you feel out of place and like you're in the way. And it represented just what you said, fear of failure, like what is going on, lack of control, maybe one of those things. So right now, everyone, we are sharing in the chat a time where you had a recent meltdown, breakdown, or fall out with yourself. And if you're comfortable explaining what you wrote, please feel free to jump in and share with us. So, Fadia, hope I said it right, shared a few days ago was putting a program together and wasn't able to come up with ideas and not feeling like you'd be able to do it. So if you want to share that a little bit.
Yeah, it's just this time, just a lot of, I don't know if it's the new moon and with just the high energy that's going on. And I did like the ritual, the new moon ritual. And it's just, everything is just all over the place. I'm like, I have this program that I need to put together and I'm sitting at the computer and I'm like, for like 3 hours and I'm like, I'm not writing anything down. Like, why? why my brain not operating? And then, like she said, like a sense of failure. It's like, am I able to do it? But it's like I have to take a step back, and I'm like, okay, let me just be mindful of what's going on with me, and then like to come back to it. And then I call one of my cousins. I'm like, okay, I need to talk to you. I'm like, I don't know what's going on with me. I'm feeling all this high energy, high intense feelings, and like I'm not able to be creative. I'm not able to come up with anything. So it was a lot.
Thank you so much for sharing. And it's crazy how things really amp up at a time where you feel like it's something, or where you feel as though it's not something that would have made you feel that way. That's where I was trying to go with that. And then last, Ty said, when Renee's cleanliness, Renee is her daughter, and acting out just got overwhelming, and I was also overwhelmed with work. So now we're building. We're talking about being in a place where we don't normally do our full-time work and having to navigate our home life with that, and how it can just become too much, which is why we're here in the first place, right? Ty, if you want to share, what did you do to bring yourself back?
So my therapist that I don't pay, I probably should, send her a Cash App or something. But I had texted her that I was having a panic attack, and thankfully she's my friend, and so she called me, Courtney, and she kind of just walked me through and told me to breathe and lock myself in the bathroom, and then she did breathing exercises with me. So I guess for me, like what I did was I reached out, and like I didn't go through that alone, which I feel like a lot of times we do that. We kind of just like be going through this whole thing alone. I didn't know if I was having a panic attack or a heart attack, because I do have slight high blood pressure. And so I was like, is it a panic attack or a heart attack? I'm not sure. It feels the same. And she kind of just helped me breathe through it. So I guess my advice is like, don't go through it alone, reach out.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing that. And when you started talking about it, I was like, oh, that's me. It's so often that we forget how we assist and support other people, that I didn't even recognize that was the story that I helped you with. So I love that. Thanks, Ty. But hopefully you found it helpful in that moment. And yes, what you said about not knowing whether or not you were having a panic attack or a heart attack, that's real. And it's very common to feel like they are the same thing happening and not knowing which one is which. Sika in the chat, and Sika, if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, please let me know. That when I'm from Jamaica and all the way in India working now. So I want to know what time it is. And thank you for tuning in with us. Over here it's 1 p.m. So I love it. I love it. I love it. And I know you said, even though I like being by myself, the reality hits when I see family together. So for a few moments, I kind of melt down. Thank you for your transparency and sharing with us about that. Can you share with us how you stay connected to family, especially during times like these where you're not able to get out and interact as much as you may have done before? And Taylor shared, I feel those feels. I love it, Taylor. I'm the only one that lives away from my family, and I'm alone, so I get it.
You hearing me, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm normally 10 hours and a half ahead. I'm not sure. My phone is off now, so the regular time will be 12:14 for Jamaica on my laptop, right? But it's kind of weird. It's kind of stressing that time. But especially the mere fact that most of my friends, whenever I should be sleeping, they're all awake. And I think this chat, the whole Zoom thing kind of helped me, but it's still challenging. I've been here from January, and it's really hard. I always have to be online. If I'm not, then I feel like I might go crazy. Even though my work involves working out with kids because I'm a coach, but yeah, it's really challenging. And whenever I look out and I see like family, I feel some type of way. But my friends talking to me overall each day, that kind of keep me motivated. But yeah, it's still a burden daily, but yeah, overcome it throughout. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. And I wish that we were there with you, or that you could be closer to family. As you can see, some of us know exactly how it feels to not be as close. Typically, I am in New Jersey and my family is about an hour away. By no means anywhere near the distance for you, but when we're in our regular day-to-day life, I don't get to see them as much as I'd like to. So I extend my heart to you during that time and hope that you can get as much face time with them as well as self-care over there during your waking hours and while we are asleep. Let me see, there's more in the chat. Oh, Fadia said, am I saying it right? Because now I think I'm getting in my head. Thank you. I can't see my aunt, which makes it hard. She was positive for COVID and was ready to go. And you were ready to go see her and stay with her for a while. And you're feeling a lot of emotions for not being able to leave and spend time with family. So how are we managing? I don't know if anybody else is navigating challenges with family members not doing well or feeling well. How are we managing those? What are some things that you all have in your toolkit, before I dive in, that you are doing to cope, even on a regular, quote unquote, day? How do you manage and navigate with family, even if they're far away or you can't get to them? And I already see Taylor extending some accountability and check-ins and support as well.
I can go. For me, I'm doing yoga and working out. So I reached out to my cousin and asked her if she can be my accountability partner. I'm like, I need someone to like check in and push me. Mm-hmm. So I've been doing that, and I also write poetry. So I'm like relieving my feelings, my thoughts, and through poetry. So that's something like I'm doing right now, and definitely. And also I'm doing a Bible study with my cousin who lives in Budapest. So that's another way of like connecting to kind of help us through the challenges that we're going through.
That's really important. So maintaining connections, doing some reflection by journaling and writing poetry, tapping into your spirituality by doing some yoga and connecting and grounding yourself. Those are all amazing ways to kind of just ground yourself, stay connected, and refocus your energy. Taylor is calling her mom almost every day. Well, your mom's calling you, and you know she is good with checking on the whole family. So I know when I speak to her, everyone is okay. So that's really good too. I love it. Sorry, I was reflecting really quickly. So I'm just gonna read this excerpt out of this book called Breathe, Mama, Breathe. It's like one of my favorites. I don't get to pick it up all the time, but it's talking about after the meltdown, your own, not your child's, not anybody else's, but after your own meltdown. So it says, as is often the best place to start, take a few deep breaths. So actually, I'm going to walk you all through this. So if you want to participate in this, this will be a great time to practice just a little mindfulness, right? So take a few deep breaths. So you're going to inhale, exhale, inhale, and exhale. And as it fills and leaves your belly and chest, feel how deep the inhales and exhales are. Notice the body sensations that are present. How would you describe the areas in your chest, the belly, and the head? What emotions are there? Anger, sadness, shame. Now place your hands over your heart. Feel the warmth of your palms against your chest, and take another deep breath. Breathing in self-compassion and kindness this gesture offers. If this feels unnatural at first, it's okay. Just notice it. For many of us, it's often a foreign way of treating ourselves. It does get easier with practice. Treat yourself as if you would your children that you work with, the children that you have, or others that you care for, with the knowledge that they are always learning and growing, because the same goes for us as people. We are a work in progress. Some days you may feel raw, overwhelmed, and defeated. If you are stuck in one of those days, Perhaps you need to give yourself a pat on the back and reflect on the things that you've accomplished. Not to dismiss or avoid facing the aftermath of the meltdown or the breakdown, but as a way to balance evenly those negative thoughts, emotions, and body sensations that can hang around for a while. Do the best you can to learn from your meltdown and move on. With mindfulness, we have the opportunity to start fresh in each new moment. Breathe and begin. So it's moments like those that I truly appreciate. And I didn't forget about the book, but it hasn't been in the forefront. Everything happens for a reason, because everything fell off of my desk after my workout and the book was right there. And I'm like, oh, this might have been what I needed. And I opened it and flipped to the page and saw after the meltdown, and was like, this is perfect. Because I don't know if you all noticed, but this week I've been just the slightest bit off. And this was time. It was timely. It was timely. So as we close out, I want to just remind us to take a moment to breathe. How are we feeling? Feel free to speak openly or type in the chat. If you don't want to speak openly, please type in the chat just to say how that mindfulness practice we just did made you feel if you practice it. If you didn't practice it, share a little bit why you might have been hesitant to do so. Taylor said that the moment was super grounding. Even for me reading it, I felt like a sense of calm taking over my body. And it was very nice to see you all engage in it. You felt calm. I love it. Has anyone practiced mindfulness? Is there anyone who didn't do a mindfulness practice prior to this moment? Was that anyone's first time? That is the question. Taylor's on Zenday, but that was a very powerful moment. I felt accepted and connected. I love that. Thank you. And it is okay to be in this moment of just reflection. So with that, we shall close, and I will see you all tomorrow at 1 p.m. Actually, before we close, if you want to connect with others,